This is Earth Soul Medicine, a space for spirituality, connection, and next-level nourishment. Let's see what comes up in this space today. This is part 2 of episode 2, the continuation of Sam and Amy's conversation. If you missed last week's part 1, be sure to check it out on Spotify or the Earth Soul Medicine YouTube channel. Enjoy part 2.
I could not love outside in Georgia. Like, I heard you talking about this on your podcast last time about being an inside person.
Yes.
That's because outside in Georgia is gross.
Yes.
Like, you can't breathe. Like, it's so humid. I never realized how important humidity plays a role in the temperature that you feel.
Oh, yes. Until you moved away, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Because let me just tell you, in Maine, it can be 32 degrees and the wind is blowing and the sun is shining, and I only need a sweatshirt.
Wow.
If it's 32 degrees in Missouri and the wind is blowing,
your face is an icicle.
it hurts.
Yeah.
Okay? It literally hurts from the humidity. It's insane, the difference. Okay? It's insane. And Georgia is so humid. And no.
No, it's terrible. You know what I noticed too? The only time I was missing humidity was when I was outside in my backyard in Oregon on a hot summer day, like 90 degrees, and there's no filter. Without humidity, it's like the sun rays burn a hole straight through your skin.
Wow.
And you're like, wow, I miss the layers of humidity here.
Yes. Well, luckily, Maine does have humidity. It just doesn't have Georgia and Missouri humidity, right? So it's just a little bit drier. So it's not pain, aching, bitter cold. It just
humidity is so terrible. And here's a good example of how torturous it is, because they will put like prisoners of war or like terrorists. You've been arrested as a terrorist. They put you on an air-conditioned plane, right? And they sensory deprive you. So they cover your ears and your eyes and your hands so you can't feel, so you're gloved. And then they let you out to this humid tropical air, and some people pass out.
Girl, yes, it's not humidity. It's not okay.
Because you can't breathe. Literally, you cannot breathe.
I knew I had to get out of Georgia because my rheumatoid arthritis is triggered by humidity. Like, I can eat clean and it's great, and I don't have like ongoing chronic pain like I used to because I've cleaned up the toxins in my body and in my life. But if a humid day hits, like, there might be in the summer a week of humidity that's intense for me in Maine. My knuckles swell.
Oh.
And I'm like, this hurts. This was my life in Georgia every day. I get a week of it in Maine. So I try not to complain too much. But I'm just like, Chuck, look at my knuckles. They're twice the size and I can't get my ring off. But it's totally triggered by humidity. Isn't that crazy? Now, Nana's the opposite. She has rheumatoid arthritis, and it's something about the cold triggers her RA pain. So it's kind of weird how we're each different.
You know what that makes me think of? Acupuncture. And like the 5 elements acupuncture specifically. And like what elements you have, and they're associated with heat and cold. And so
kind of like the
makeup.
Ayurvedic, I never can say it.
Okay, yeah.
Because they're very much like, so you're going to eat based on if you're hot or cold or whatever the things are. And so like Chuck is an Aries, and he is full on fire. He is so fully Aries. It's really beautiful.
I wonder how much fire he has in his chart. You know, like,
I
wonder how
don't
many
know.
planets he has in fire
I don't know, but that man is on fire. So things will, like peppers and whatnot, they have it's a cooling for his energy.
Oh.
These spicy things, because he's so spicy. You know, whereas I am very cool. I am an earth sign, and I'm very cool and very grounded. So those kind of things heat me up.
Yeah.
You know? So they have specific diets based on that, and ours are opposite. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work because
Well, we can't follow this.
I'm not going to make two
so-
separate. Sorry. So we're just. That's
This
a no
is why
go.
arranged marriages were a
Right.
thing.
So it was interesting to learn about. And I was like, I can see that, but no, I can't eat that way.
Yeah, I see that on like a lot of stuff, like the blue zones.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm not eating like that.
I don't know. Like, did you watch the documentary, The Blue
No.
Zones? Why?
I read a book in a library.
Okay. Well, I have the cookbook, the Blue Zone cookbook. My
You
mother-in-law.
do?
Well, before my mother-in-law passed away, it was one of the things she gifted us.
Oh.
Which is funny because she was not about healthy living.
I remember you telling me that.
She wasn't about healthy living. Bless her. But she knew that we were. So I think they had watched this documentary, The Blue Zones, I think on Netflix. And so she was like, let me send this cookbook to Chuck because those people live longer,
Right.
healthier lives, and they live longer, have a better quality of life.
Yes, I think my problem comes with the fact that their length of life and quality of life is not reduced simply down to their diet. It's literally how they
No.
live in smaller communities and they walk.
all-encompassing.
Yes.
Right, which the documentary goes into. Like
Okay.
their total lifestyle
Yeah.
is what is amazing and what is keeping them vibrant and healthy and
Yeah.
alive. So, I mean, it was totally interesting to me. And I was like, I see the value in that. But it's also like, I've had such a toxic life that so much damage has already been done in my body that, like, the people in, I don't know, was it Taiwan or something? They're always they're squatting, right? And
Yeah.
they're gardening and they're down in the thing. And I'm like, that is so cool. And I can be down in that position for a good 60 seconds before I'm stuck there.
Yeah.
Like with my granddaughter, I'm down on the floor, I'm squatting, I'm like doing the thing, and I'm like, you're gonna have to help Gigi up. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I need to hold on, and then I need somebody to. It's a whole because my hips hurt, you know, and you're like, man, I could see like if that would have been my life,
Yes. Yes.
that would have been awesome.
I am going to say this, but I'm going to preface with one, you might not like it. And two, I also don't know what it's like to live in your body. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I don't have these chronic pain issues and I don't have these autoimmune
Which
issues.
I'm so glad.
I mean, freaking fingers crossed, right? Yet. Don't have them yet.
No, you're good.
We'll see. But, you can change that.
Yes. You know, I'm not offended by that because I live with the man who his motto is, you can heal that.
Yes!
You can heal that.
I can fix that. You remember that from Holes?
Yeah. Holes is my favorite movie. All right?
We watched so much
I love Holes.
Stanley
I love
Yelnats.
Holes. I even told Dana, like, you can't learn. How are you going to learn? If somebody else is digging your hole, how are you going to learn? You got to dig your own hole.
So many
And then she didn't
little
know
nuggets.
what that was. And I had to be like, here's the link. You have to watch this movie and dig your own hole.
Yes! Okay.
I love
little
holes.
side
Yes,
note there.
you're right. And I have been on this amazing healing journey.
Yeah,
I mean,
you have.
I changed my whole life. What was it, 7 years ago now, which was the most painful and hard thing I've ever done. I changed my life. And I eat clean. I don't do yoga when I know I feel better when I do yoga.
well,
right?
join the club.
I don't walk
Yeah.
when I know I'd feel better. I know one because I know, and I know one because that's all my husband likes to say to me. You should walk. We should go for a walk. So I get to a point where I'm like, no.
F off!
Right? I'm not. You go for a walk.
I'll see you when you get back!
But it's like, you know these things. So no, I mean, it's definitely for me like a journey,
Yeah.
you know, and I have moments where I'm doing yoga every day and I feel amazing. And then for whatever reason, just whatever, I get out of the habit.
Mm-hmm. That's got to be astrological. I've been thinking about that about myself. I'm like, why am I so motivated to do something sometime? Like, I feel like maybe like Mars is running through like where it exists in my natal chart, activating my natal Mars, and then like it leaves, and then like, I'm just like, I have no energy.
You peter out?
Yeah.
Totally. Totally. And here's the thing. It's so interesting to me. I'm so thankful that Chuck is in my life because he keeps that diet solid because he cares about what he eats.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not like I can drop that ball.
Yeah.
Because Chuck
that's a night.
Cares about what he eats. And he's not trying to eat some crap. So don't bring some crap home. Don't try to feed him some crap. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and his definition of crap is a lot different than my husband's.
Oh, well, yeah.
So I don't have that luxury.
Right. And me being who I am, if I didn't have Chuck, who was steadfast about what he puts in his body, I would not be as far into this healing journey as I am. For sure.
Well, we all need support.
Yes. And he is that. He is definitely pro whatever heals you.
Yeah. That's good, though.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I wish he'd focus more on his own healing.
Yeah.
But then that's his journey, and I can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
You know? But
sometimes, I do.
Sometimes he's a little too focused on mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like, yo.
I'm not your problem to fix.
Right? Yes. But he has that knight in shining armor, like, complex. Where he wants to just, you know, make it right. So, I mean, I've had some hard conversations with him, which is amazing because I couldn't have these conversations with my last partner.
Yeah.
It's just not open. So he hears it, which is like every time I'm like, that's amazing. Because he'll say what I've said back to me. And I can see him processing it. And then he'll say something like, I hear what you're saying and I'm going to work on that. And I'm like, what just happened? What? Okay. Like, I'm so excited. I didn't realize that this was a thing that could happen. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. He's amazing. So thankful.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah, marriage is hard.
Marriage is hard.
Yeah, because you're coming as two different people from two different lives. And what I find interesting about your relationship with Chuck is that you came together later in life.
Yes.
Right? So you've learned a lot of lessons already.
Yes.
And with my husband, we met, I was 21 and he was 19.
Right.
And so it's kind of like we grew up together into adulthood kind of situation.
Sure. No, it is that.
And you are not aware at that age. You're less likely to be aware and conscious and in a wise mind situation. And so you play out these trauma responses that you've come from and you play them out together. And it's only now, like in my early 30s, can I see what's happening.
Right.
And then describe it to him and be like, this is what's happening.
Well, I mean,
we should do something about that.
The beautiful thing about that is your willingness to work it out together. Everybody doesn't have that.
Yeah.
So I had to live a really toxic life and make a bunch of mistakes with a non-communicative person who was angry. And then Chuck had his own brand of craziness with his partners that he went through. And then we have to come together. And now we have all this baggage. Oh, I mean, we already had baggage when we dated in high school, right? But now it's a completely different, more serious baggage situation, you know? And it's like, wow, I have been in a state of fight or flight for 27 years. I can't live like that anymore. And this is what I need from you. And then him coming to me with, this is the hell that my personal hell that I've been through, you know, and this is what it looks like. And these are my kids who have lived through their own brand of trauma, and this is what it looks like. And then I had to be like, but hold on, there's more. I have kids, and this is what they've been through. And this is... it's like a next level commitment because I remember when he proposed to me, it was at the Lewis and Clark State Park or something. He's a little bit of a Lewis and Clark fan.
Which, why he doesn't live in Oregon confounds me.
Anyways, he got down on one knee and he proposed. And it was the same weekend that she got married. And I was always thankful that he didn't do it in the light of your wedding.
Freaked out.
I was so glad that he didn't.
Because we were not at this stage in our relationship yet.
No, plus we had drama at the wedding.
Yes.
It was a whole thing. So, yay for you being smarter than that.
Yes.
Okay, so the wedding
First time I met him, and I did get to meet him because he came to the wedding.
He came to the wedding.
And we bushwhacked.
Yes,
the day of my wedding.
We did. My husband lives to bushwhack. You say you want to go hiking. I say I want to go hiking. And when I say that, it means a trail.
Like a maintained trail.
Yeah, my husband's like, no.
No, he wants to chop down a tree.
Who needs a stinking trail?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, he proposed and I got down on his level. I came down and I was like, if you take me, you have to take all of my kids and all of our baggage. And you have to agree to that for me to agree to marry you.
Yeah.
And he was like, yes. I was like, what is happening right now? That was amazing. Yeah.
And then he never comes to visit.
I wish
I'm
that
sorry.
the saddest thing is that you don't know how amazing he is and he doesn't know how amazing you are because we live so far apart.
It's so hard. It's hard. And especially, like, we're all adults who have to work for a living. So there's, like, you have to take time off of work, too. Yes. And then the traveling there. And now we have a kid.
Right. And I'm sorry, all these plane flights to get here, I never feel as older than I am until I try to get on all these planes. I can walk. I mean, I walk in the door. I'm hunched over. My feet hurt from plantar fasciitis or whatever's going on with my feet. My disc disease in my back is like, you can't sit in that many planes for that long. So I'm like, so my grandbaby's like, I'm going to walk like Chi-Chi.
And look,
I'm all over. It's great.
It's a form of flattery.
No, she's sweet and I love her. And the truth hurts sometimes.
The truth hurts.
Which is why I should do yoga.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, I mean, yoga is helpful.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of weightlifting, and I told you this earlier, how I noticed the strength.
Yes.
It just in my actions throughout the day. And I was like, wow, I can't stop doing this. But then, because you're tearing your muscle down and it's growing back, there's not as much elasticity. Like, you gotta breathe elasticity back in there. So then I'm, like, reaching up, and then, like, the range of motion ain't there.
Like, I ain't going that high.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's important to stretch it all back out, and I have to stretch in the morning, because I used to throw my back out all the time. Oh. Even as a kid.
Yeah.
Terrible to throw my back out, because I never stretched. And so now I stretch every morning. Haven't thrown my back out since, like 5 years ago? 6 years ago?
Well, okay. So you touched on this a little bit with Chelsea. We lived in the Bible Belt, is what that's called.
Yeah.
We were like deep south.
The Bible Belt, yes.
Bible Belt's the term, I believe, that you were looking for.
Yes.
And so in the Bible Belt, I mean, yes, you could stretch, but yoga had a certain negative connotation to Christian people. But I feel like sometimes Christian people get fearful of things that they don't know or understand.
Just like anyone else.
Right? So I never had yoga because I was like, man, we don't do yoga. I mean,
interesting.
We're Christians. We don't do yoga. That is false. Not true. Do the yoga. It's good for you. But it was a whole thing. So Chuck had done yoga and found how valuable that it was, because he's a stonemason. So he's very muscly, but he knows that he has to keep his core strong and that he has to stretch in order to be able to lift the stone. And so he brought yoga into my life. And I did it for like, I don't know, a year and a half straight. And I had never felt more amazing.
Yeah.
Then I got off the wagon. Then Adrian, Yoga with Adrian on YouTube.
Yeah.
Shameless plug. Every January does 30 days yoga program. So every January 1st, I'm ready. Adrian, let's do it. Bring it. Bring it.
Yeah.
By week 2, I got a cold. It's the middle of winter. You know, there's 6 feet of snow outside. And
yes.
I'm like, I'm out. Peace out.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
So, but it's crazy because I know how amazing I feel. Like I'm stronger. I
Yeah.
have more mobility. My disc disease doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
This foot pain is a new development, like 3 months now, and it's killing me. It is just painful.
Yeah, right after pregnancy, well, right after giving birth, I had a lot of like physical pains. And
Well,
I
that was
gained like a
traumatic.
crap ton of weight. I mean, I probably gained like 60 plus pounds during that pregnancy. And I had to stop working out. Not had to. I made the decision to stop working out because I had so much pain.
Right.
But I think I was experiencing a lot of pain because of the lack of movement that I was incorporating into my pregnancy because I was so sick. I was so sick. It felt like I couldn't move. I couldn't get up to walk for the first 3 months. And so like that is a long time to not move your body after I was doing CrossFit before then. Yeah. And so then for 3 months, my strength deteriorated. My flexibility deteriorated.
It's amazing how fast it goes.
Oh, yes.
Right?
If you don't use it, you lose it. That's
Quickly.
like the first thing they tell you. I took an anatomy and physiology class, and that's the first thing they say. They were like, this is what you need to know about the body. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Quickly. It's crazy.
That is the truth, dude.
It is the truth. But you can gain it back very quickly, too. But you got to do it.
I don't know about that. I would not say it leaves quicker than you get it back, for sure. Because, well, I said this to say, after I gave birth, I really wanted to get back into working out. I was like, I want to feel better. Like, I am in pain. And so I jumped into these high-intensity workouts.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I was like, let me just go straight back to what I know. And then I developed tendinitis in my knees. Was some of the worst pain I've ever experienced. It kept me up at night. I would wake up at night and not be able to sleep because of tendinitis in my knee. I went to the physical therapist, and my insurance was like, no, we're not paying for this. Then they told me, they were like, you can't pay out of pocket. I was like, what sense does this make? I was like, literally, you don't want my money.
Right?
I don't know if they had like a partnership with the health insurance company. I don't know what was happening.
I've never heard of them not letting you pay.
Yeah.
Weird.
They were like, you can't pay out of pocket. I was like, oh, okay. You're just like, F you. You will have tendinitis in your knees for the rest of your life, no matter what. Rich or poor.
Wow.
Yeah. So after that, I started doing yoga. And I did yoga for like 2 years. I felt incredible. I do feel like you don't get a lot of aerobic exercise from that. I definitely felt like I could use some cardio in my life. And it's like a calisthenics almost. So like the strength development there has a ceiling. For me, I found there was a ceiling of strength development. As with when I weightlift, which is what I choose to do now, because with the weightlifting, it's not a high impact. You're not jumping around. Like I was jumping around. I was doing crazy stuff.
I know. Been there.
And weightlifting,
P90X.
yeah.
Ridiculous.
Weightlifting grows your bones. Like it's the only thing that will strengthen your bones.
I know I need to add the weights, but I also need to do the yoga and take walks and then add the weights.
I know, dude. That's why without my husband hates doing like at-home workouts, and I'm like, that's all I can do. I'm not leaving the house. I'm not going to a gym. I live in the middle of nowhere. I have to drive an hour to a gym.
Yeah, no. I don't have time. Who has time for that? I don't have time for that.
No. So I have like 60 dumbbells at my house, so I have like a full weight rack. And then I have to follow a program. That's what I love about those Beachbody things, is because it's 3 months and you commit. And so I'm just checking off a day. I don't have to think about the exercises that I'm doing because it's laid out for me.
I guess at the stage of my life, I'm like, P90X, bless you. You were good to me in the 40s, in my 40s. But I'm over that.
Yeah.
Okay, no. I feel like yoga and walking are about all I want to give to
And
to
that
this.
sounds good.
You know, like I ain't trying to do, I just want to not hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I just want to not hurt. So I eat a clean diet. If I could just yoga and walk, I think that's fair. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to add all that. I mean, you're amazing. Mom.
I'm trying to be strong. I like the feeling of being strong. And I missed that for a long time. I also like the feeling of ease of movement.
Well, yes. Hello. I am looking for that. Ease of movement. Which means you have to move more.
Yes. And repetitively. Like you have to do these movements often throughout the day.
You've got to grease the wheels.
Yeah.
Got to grease the wheels. And I am a professional crafter.
Yes, you are!
Which means I can sit and stand in one position for a very long time.
And do tiny movements with your fingers.
The body doesn't like it. It doesn't like it. So, I made a standing workstation so I wasn't sitting all the time because the disc disease, it's not great to be sitting all the time. But then the foot thing.
Oh.
And I'm like, I can't even stand here and craft because it hurts. So now I bought this really obnoxious chair that's a high chair that I have to put together. It's in pieces. It was delivered before I left. And Chuck's like, what's this chair? I'm like, look, man, my feet hurt. Okay. And the table's too high. I had to buy a chair that was high, but also could give me some support and do the things. And he's like, it's really heavy. And I'm like, yes, can you please carry it upstairs? I'm not going to be able to carry it.
Is it as heavy as a stone?
Apparently, well, he could handle it. So I couldn't. And then he opens the box and he's like, hey, there's a lot of pieces in here. And I was like, honey, just close the lid. And when I get home from Oregon, I'm going to put it together.
Yes.
But yeah, so now I can't stand.
Yeah, that stinks about the feet, because if your feet weren't hurting, you could get one of those, like, they call them desk treadmills.
Yes!
I've seen these everywhere now.
I've tried to talk my boss into getting me one for behind the counter.
Yeah.
All right, because I work at a health food store, and I am that's my domain right there, behind the counter is where I spend the most of my time. And I'm like, you could get me, and he toyed with the idea. He's like, I could get you one of those little treadmills. I was like, yeah! And then plantar fasciitis, and I'm like, no, what I need are clouds. And bare feet on the clouds. So
needs change.
It's true.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So true.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And it hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. Also.
Boo.
Yeah. Because I told you I was having that problem. And they wanted to give me inserts for my shoe or whatever. But it was like my Achilles tendon and all of the stuff behind there was too tight. And so they call it scraping. So I scraped the muscle. Is
that like the thing you use to scrape your face?
It's not a gua sha tool,
okay,
but it's very similar concept.
Does it look like a gua sha tool?
Kind of.
Okay, because I felt
it's just like
I've
a piece of plastic.
Okay.
It's like a hunk of plastic with a narrow edge.
Okay.
And you oil yourself up. And you scrape all the adhesions out. And
Maybe
then you
what
stretch.
Because mine's on the bottom.
Yes, it's because all the stuff up
my heel
here is pulling. It's too tight here, so it pulls the bottom. Yeah, that's what's happening for me. I am a certified physical therapist.
Well, why don't you help your mother
So
out while
I know.
she's here?
That's
What's
a
happening?
joke. I am not.
Oh,
Don't
God.
listen to me. I was like,
Add it to your long
fell
list.
for it.
Long list of accomplishments. I mean, every time I talk to you, I feel like there's another accomplishment on your record. So this does surprise me.
I like that. I love that you thought that was a real thing that I want.
Well, I was really thinking, well, why are you just bringing this up now? Because you've seen me hobbling around the house and you haven't helped me. I was a little confused.
Oh, that's funny.
But also
That's
supportive
funny.
and proud.
Well, I love that for both of us.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the knees, when I went in and I saw the physical therapist, she was like, you have to look above and below. Because it's not, the problem area is usually not where the problem is or has started.
Okay.
Unless it's like, unless you had like an acute injury there, like you hit your knee really hard and then like, yeah, we should take a look at the knee there. Or you have like osteoporosis. Did I say that right?
Close. It was close enough.
Yeah, like bone
Everybody knows what you
degeneration.
meant. Yeah.
Right. But she was like, you have to look above and below, especially if it's a joint, because all of the muscles will pull on all the stuff here. This is where everything meets. A joint is where all muscles meet via tendon or the other thing.
Right.
So poke around and see what you find.
If it's from my back, right? Because I haven't been doing the yoga. So my core is soft and squishy. And it's not good, right? Like, you need a strong core. I sound like my husband. My husband is like, strong core, it's everything. But it is everything for him. But it is everything for us, too.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, because this area is so weak, I have the back problems, I have knee problems, and I'm wondering if now this foot thing isn't like a, hey, you have not taken care of this, and this is the progression of that decision.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, man, I got to get on it, yo.
I feel like if somebody said to me, just do core work, like just reestablish the mind-body connection to your core after giving birth, then I wouldn't have had the tendinitis.
Yeah. I mean, the core matters. And I'm just like, no, I just want to eat cookies and not plank. That's not working out for me.
Look, don't nobody like a plank. Okay? I don't care who you ask. Nobody likes a plank.
I don't mind a plank. I just don't like to plank long. I just want to be like, look, I did a plank.
For like 2 seconds.
We're done.
You know what?
That
That's what I liked about the Payo. Is she didn't do the long-standing poses. It was a combo of Pilates and yoga. So you moved in the plank. And for me, I was like, yes. Because it's not prolonged, like, time under tension. It's, I'm going to move. And so it hurts less.
Yeah, I have the Payo. Like, I don't.
Do the
I mean, I
Payo,
have the DVD.
Yeah.
Right? Because I live in the middle of nowhere. I have terrible internet. We don't have a TV. It's a whole thing.
They don't sell the DVDs anymore. Did you know that? Can we talk about how the world has changed now and everything is streaming? They don't even sell the DVDs.
It's really unfortunate for people who live in the middle of nowhere and have really poor internet.
Yes.
Like, it's what? And also because we're older, 50s. My husband has a very impressive CD collection.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of amazing.
That's hilarious.
We have so many CDs. So we have the old CD player that we had as a family is our CD player.
I can't even envision what this looks like.
Yeah, it's our CD player.
I don't remember what that looks like.
You can put 5 CDs in it, and it'll switch between them.
Does it look like a DVD player?
Yeah.
Is it like thin?
Mm-hmm. And then, but it has external speakers.
Yeah.
So I have that.
Dude, literally, if I find a CD in my home, it's like I found a penny and I throw it away.
Send them to your mother. I have a CD player with external speakers. It's amazing.
I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? My car won't play a CD. My laptop won't play a CD.
Okay, listen. I was so sad that my brand new car did not come with a CD player because my Honda Fit has a CD player.
Yeah. Well, it's old.
Anyways, my new car. I'm like, what do you mean they don't come? You can't. It's not even an option. And they're like, no. I was like, what's
It's
rude?
being phased out.
Do you know, like, I have 300 CDs at home? I need a CD player. Like, what is happening?
300 CDs.
I swear. Okay.
You know what, though? DVDs are back in the rural America because we lose our internet so often. And we have a toddler who needs to watch a movie sometimes.
Girl, I need to watch a movie sometimes.
And I was looking at, because I got all the old CDs from when you guys moved. And I mean DVDs.
I split them up.
And they're all adult movies.
I didn't give you any of the kids' movies? No, I gave you the kids' movies. Only kid movie I kept was Aladdin.
Yes! I noticed that because we had the bonus disc. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with a bonus disc?
Well, you know what I did by mistake? Is I must have given you all the Star Wars movies because all I have are Star Wars bonus discs.
Yes, we have all the Star Wars.
Same disappointment.
And you can have them. I want nothing to do with those. Why would I ever watch this woman? I would have a sick note.
Don't say anything you're going to regret later.
I would have a sick day. We would call out of school sick. I was about to say work. I'm so old now. And we would have to watch Star Wars trilogy in a row all day because it was her favorite movie.
No. You got to watch. Okay? You got to watch.
I do think I was the only one who was dissatisfied by the movie choice.
And I don't even remember that you were dissatisfied. Probably because I was like, no, I don't want to hear that. Because, we all love Star Wars. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't feel good.
Yes. You must have a fever. Feeling feverish right now. Your brain's not working right.
It hurts my heart a little bit. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, well, it has to just be me because I feel like everyone else in our family loves Star Wars. Even the new weird bad stuff that they're made. It's just like bad TV.
I am sorry that you had to grow up and... I mean, there were so many things I was sorry about your childhood. Never thought Star Wars would be one of them. I thought that was the thing I was doing right. I was like, yes.
Oh,
wow.
That's funny. You know what I remember fondly, though, of those sick days is the Light Bright.
Oh, right.
That was a good time.
Light Bright is awesome.
That was
Always.
like 90s ASMR.
Yes.
Poking the little things through the hole. And I hated it when the pictures already had the holes poked.
Right, because you want a fresh poke hole.
Yeah, what's the fun of an already poked hole?
I know.
Ain't nothing fun. And then they wiggle out because the hole's all open.
Right, it's no longer... Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they are cool. Light Brights are cool.
Yeah, they're so cool.
Right? They still make them, right? Like
that has to be a thing.
Yeah.
But also, no, because they're like an extreme choking hazard. Like, who makes pieces that small? Legos. I guess answer my own question. And who wants tiny little pieces like that all over your house?
My grandbaby.
No! No.
I feel like she wants this.
I feel like you better hold off.
Well, they might have some at her preschool. I had them in my preschool class. My kids love them.
Oh, yeah. I loved going to your preschool class.
Preschool is fun for everyone.
Yes.
Okay? The adults and the kids. Preschool is a good time.
Yeah.
Let's just do preschool.
I want to challenge that. For some reason, it was fun when I went with you. And then when I started being a preschool teacher myself, I was no longer having a good time.
That is a personal issue that you're going to have to work through. Because there has never been a more fun, fulfilling job I've ever had than the 7 years that I taught preschool.
Yeah, you really did enjoy it.
Oh, It's amazing.
You were so good at it too.
Well, it's because like all that magical energy that I put into our holidays,
Yeah.
I could put into every classroom. I could put my energy, my creative energy into my lesson plans. And I enjoyed it. I just didn't enjoy being sick all the time, right? And
dude,
little children are germ factories. And because I was in a toxic home environment, my immune system could not handle it. It couldn't handle it. And that's the only reason why I quit teaching preschool.
I did not know that. Oh, no, I did.
Yeah, because my body was shutting down.
Yes.
And I started to fall asleep while I was driving.
Yes.
And I had an accident with your brother in the car. I fell asleep, which was a reoccurring thing. It had been happening for years. I had been falling asleep at the wheel because my adrenals were overtaxed, and it was adrenal fatigue, and nobody was talking about adrenal fatigue back then. And so I would smoke cigarettes to try to stay awake in the car. And, that helped for a while. But it was at a point where I couldn't. I was sick all the time because babies are just little germ factories and our toxic life. And my body was just like, you're going to sleep. And I slept, and I hit somebody, rear-ended them, and thank God everybody was fine.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the bags went off.
Oh, wow.
It got my wrist, and I think your brother had a bloody lip maybe from the airbag, and a girl in the car in front of us had hurt her wrist. And it was that point where I decided I couldn't drive to where I was teaching. I was teaching at a school that was
Far.
an hour away. Maybe not quite an hour, but it was a big drive, and I couldn't do it without falling asleep. So that year was my last year. That accident happened at the end of the year, and I remember hobbling down on the last day of school, and we'd have our graduation. I couldn't even stand up straight from the accident, the back pain.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I can't do this anymore because I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm falling asleep at the wheel, and I didn't know why, and that began a year long of doctor visits and testing and a bunch of money trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And, so that's why I quit. My favorite, bestest job ever.
So fun, that job. And they really valued you there.
It was a good job.
Which was nice.
So fun. It doesn't pay well, but just being a preschool teacher isn't about the pay. You don't do it because you get paid well. You do it because you love it.
Yeah.
And I did. I loved it.
Yeah. It's cool to go. And I also think that all of my preschool teaching experience happened while my own child was in the class, which posed a lot of challenges for me.
It really does.
So maybe that's the factor.
Right.
Too.
I mean,
And I don't know personally a preschool teacher who has a preschool age child at their home, because that's a lot of energy. And then
I was teaching
go home,
preschool when your brother was in preschool.
No, you were not.
Yes, let me tell you exactly how that happened. So your brother was 4, and we wanted to put him in Harps Crossing Baptist Church preschool. And they said, I was in college at the time, in early childhood education, and they were like, well, we have an opening in our 3-year-old classroom. Would you like to teach 3-year-old classroom? And I was like, yes, please. And so my son was going to be there anyway. So he was 4 when I started teaching.
Dude, yikes. That is not a fun time.
Plus you and your sister.
Oh, yeah, that was not a fun time. At all.
And you had to have been like 12, and she was 13 when I started teaching. Not fun. But teaching preschool was fun. And you know why I think I liked it is because all of those kids were being nice to me. Yeah. They were happy to see me, and they thought I was great. You were 12, she was 13. Nobody was happy to see me. Mom's home. So, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, maybe my kid's just like, I don't know. Maybe it's not my kid. Maybe it's me. I feel like I don't have the capacity to be around like 15 to 20 children.
Well, it's a lot. It is a lot.
Yeah.
you know? And I had a helper in my room. And a lot of preschool teachers don't have helpers.
Yeah.
But at this preschool, I had an assistant. Changes everything. Yeah. It's amazing. I mean...
And I think it was... How many hours a day was that?
It was only 4!
Yeah.
It was only a 4-hour program.
Yeah,
4
that's
hours
nice.
a day.
That's kind of like the norm.
I mean, I feel like that's preschool appropriate.
Yeah, yes, for sure.
You know, but I get it. People got to work, got to have somewhere to put their kid. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But you enjoyed doing the kids program at the nature center, right?
I did, and that was 6 through 11. And I liked that. I did.
Yeah.
They were like more formed mentally.
Yeah, and I feel like that's your strong suit. Where mine is 4-year-olds. Okay, I am a 4-year-old. This is me. This is what I want to do. Yeah. And I feel like you're a little more intellectual and comfortable.
Yeah, like I want to sit down and talk to you. I don't want you to tantrum on me. I just don't.
Well, I don't want you to tantrum on me either.
Well, but here's the thing is when I remember going to your classroom, kids were like not fighting and not having big feelings, and they like followed directions and like sat down and did activities.
Well,
and danced.
That's because you come in the classroom after I've already established the classroom routine, right? Because I spend the first couple weeks establishing what is appropriate for the classroom with my students. You know, this is what we do. We come in, this is what we do. You know, and I set it up so that they don't just have situations where they're going to, you know, do that. I had a very structured classroom. I had centers.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Did you ever have kids who, like, I don't know the nicest way to say this, problem behaviored other children? As in, said something rude to them or did something inappropriate?
Of course. You have that happen. I mean, kids are kids and they're coming from wherever they're coming from and bringing whatever they're bringing. And of course. So it was a Christian preschool. So we talk about what the Bible says about how to treat each other, you know, treat each other how you'd like to be treated. We would really talk about that a lot, you know. And I had the light system. Now, I don't even know if that's a good or bad thing. I don't know. Child development changes, and I'm about it, and I feel like it's always evolving and hopefully improving.
Yeah.
But at that time, and that was a long time ago, that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
We had the red, yellow, and green light system. Yeah. And that I had clothespins.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, and each kid had their name on a clothespin. And so if you weren't following the classroom rules, you were going to have to move your clip.
Oh, no.
This one little guy, he was, I would say, challenging for me. Mm. I found his behavior challenging, and he found my authority challenging. And he had a mom who was very involved. Oh. And wanted very involved. And so I was like, I don't know what he was doing, but it was inappropriate and borderline dangerous. And I was like, if you continue to do that, you're going to have to leave the center and you're going to move your clip to yellow. And he wouldn't.
Oh, he just like wouldn't move his, oh.
He's like, no.
I don't think so, lady.
I'm not moving my clip because he knew his mother was not going to be happy about him having to move his clip. And I remember in that moment going, Lord, I'm going to need you to help me here because I want to act inappropriately. Yeah. You know what I mean? I just want to be like, no, you're going to move your clip or I'm going to move it for you. Right? I got a classroom to run here. I don't need your shenanigans.
Yeah.
But I remember just being like, if you don't move your clip, I'm going to have to write a note to your mom right now. And so he was pouting. He was not happy. He moved his clip and then he just sat and pouted. And I was like, well, thank goodness that went well. You know, but it was things like that all the time. But I used redirection more than I used the light. If I could redirect and I didn't have to worry about this light. That's what I did. And I loved redirection. Let's redirect that behavior. It worked like a champ in the classroom. It didn't work great at home.
Yeah, that's what... Yes, and like for me, my home was in the classroom. So like my kid was there. And like knows how to push my buttons too.
Right, and knows what they can get away with. And they're like, you're trying to set this boundary with me here.
She's also was like trying
better.
to prove her own self. You know, like even if she did listen to me at home, she wasn't going to do it at preschool. I don't know why. It was tough. And I think that's like a normal thing. You know, like parents having problems being the teacher in the same classroom.
Yes, Ronnie wasn't in my class. So,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah.
And then it's the challenging situations like that. Like, I don't know why, but I've been involved in a lot of preschools where the kids have a lot of challenges. I don't know if that's a new thing. I don't know if that's because I'm in a rural America place. Like, I don't know. But it's like every kid. And so I'm just like, it's like I'm dealing with all these challenges. It's like I'm playing a video game and every person you run into is like a boss. And so you have like a full-on boss fight. And then it's like they're done. They're totally fine. So they go and play. And then like you turn around and there's another boss just there waiting for you, looking at you, ready to go. And then by the time it's over, you're like, who am I? What do I have left? You know, like you're beaten and you're bloodied. And you're like, well, now I have to go home to my own boss. My own 4-year-old.
I love that. I feel like we all have different strengths.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what, if preschool isn't your strength, don't do it. I think the worst thing is for a teacher to be teaching and her heart isn't in it. Or his heart. The teacher's heart isn't in it. Stop doing that. I mean, don't do that just for a paycheck because you're affecting kids. You know what I mean? Do what you love. Like you loved the program because older kids, you're good with that.
Yeah.
Where I am not about. Like I'm not doing a middle schooler. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to deal with that.
Oh, no.
No, I'm good.
No.
Even upper elementary. I tried
Had you ever tried? Because I'm interested to know that.
Yes, I did. I was doing after school program. Do you remember this? Ronnie was in kindergarten. And I started doing the after school program. I taught preschool, then I'd go to the after school program at the elementary school Ronnie was at the time. It was before we put him in a Christian school. It was the public school. Oh. So I had to deal with children who were 1st through 5th grade. And I was scared. I remember being scared because some kids had some pushback.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you? I don't think so, man. And then I'm like, well, what am I going to do about it? I'm not at home where my kids mind me or I have consequences.
Yeah.
This is a different atmosphere. And I could only, I tried redirection, but when a kid laughs in your face, you're like, well, what now? And I was ill-equipped for that because I hadn't finished getting my degree because once I started teaching preschool, your dad and I were having an issue. I quit going to college. It was a whole thing. I moved out for a while. So things happened. I didn't finish my degree and I was not equipped for children who were not 4. 3s and 4s is where my experience was, where my education was, and where my heart was. And even though I tried, because I was like the art program at the after school, I was like, yes. So I got to use the art room and I brought, a bunch of my own supplies, but I got to use their tables and they had stuff set up and it was really cool. But I just found that not to be my thing. But I feel like after school must have just been a challenging situation because they couldn't find people to do it.
Yeah. That's how you know. That's how you know. If they're desperate, if they hire you on the spot, if they don't even call your references, it's a red flag.
It's a bad thing. And Ronnie had some issue at that school. And that's when we decided we were going to put him in the private school. that was closer to where I was teaching.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's funny you mentioned you felt ill-equipped, because that's how I felt with every teaching job, because that's not what I have my degree in. It's just not. I had some experience, which led me to get the job, but I did always feel like I was not prepared in all ways. Not emotionally prepared for the turmoil of being a teacher.
It's
right?
a lot.
Or like energetically prepared, because that's what kids do. They just suck your energy away and then they leave with it. And you're just like, oh, I'm just supposed to like make my own energy constantly. Like, that's a thing I got to figure out how to do.
It's an exchange. It's supposed to be an exchange.
Not an exchange. Not an exchange. A forceful stealing from you.
Oh, man.
And also, they don't tell you how to deal with these challenging behaviors. Like, I never got like a one-on-one. No one was ever like, hey, if a kid really does something effed up to you, here are your options. It really felt like a learn on the fly. Man, and I said some stuff to some kids, like, not like totally mean or inappropriate, but like a consequence of their action. Like, we have a 3 strikes out policy here. And if you continue in this place, I'm going to have to give you your first strike. 3 strikes out, you can't come back.
That's heavy language for little preschoolers.
Oh, no. This is with older kids.
Okay, I was like, oh. They went home scared.
The elementary aged kids.
Oh, yeah.
Like 8, 10. And they would cry. They cried at me. And I was like, wow, maybe I shouldn't be telling this to children, you know? I was like, am I a bad person? Like,
you have a stern delivery, though.
I did too. And I was like, dead serious. Because I'm at my wit's end when I give somebody that kind of consequence.
Girl, you've given me a stern delivery. And I'm like, I need to straighten my ass up right now. Like, it's stern. It's a stern delivery.
You know, that scares me for, like, my child doing that to me. Like, I'm always just like, I hope Pepper doesn't, like, have the level of sass that I had.
Oh, honey, she got sass.
She has so much sass, and sometimes I look at Malcolm, and I'm like, we're in for it. When she turns 16, we're gonna die.
That baby got sass.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know what to say, except I'm praying for you.
I know.
All right.
I know. That's why I really, because I said in my last podcast that we want to have another kid. And I was really trying to plan out astrologically the sun sign of the child that I felt.
That is so you.
That I felt like would be most compatible with our already existing family.
Wow.
Just like hoping that small window of time, like that one instance of fertility that year would lead to the sign that I had chosen. But I definitely did not want to try for another Scorpio. I was like, I don't think we have big
Scorpio energy in our family. We really do. And
or Capricorn.
I feel like that is so you. Trying to control all the things.
Well, to be fair, with my first child in pregnancy, that was the opposite of what I was doing. And so then I got a Scorpio child. Which I love her. And we're meant to be together here.
She's amazing.
But like, that's an intense energy to have and to try to parent. And even when you look up the sign, okay, you look up a Taurus and they're like, oh, you're sensual and you like to laze around and eat food and you're stubborn.
Okay.
Right? Or like, you're a Gemini, you can't make up your mind sometimes. You read Scorpio and it's like intense, challenging, transformative.
It's deep feels, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ain't that the truth?
Because
so
my
I was like,
moon is in Scorpio.
Oh, is that so?
I have deep feels.
Really? I feel like I should look up your chart right now.
Yeah.
I can't.
I present as Capricorn. I'm a Sun Virgo, and my moon is Scorpio. My mom is a Scorpio. Her sun sign is a Scorpio.
Are you kidding me?
No, Nana's birthday's November 1st.
Why don't I know any of these things?
I don't know.
You're right.
We have big Scorpio energy in our family.
Nana is a Scorpio. Huh. I don't know. People think I'm serious. I don't know if that's like a thing of the signs that I have.
Girl, yes. I'm sorry. You came out of the womb serious. All right. I have baby pictures of her where she's furrowing her brow. And it is serious. Everything.
If you were born into the same family that I was born into,
you
would have a furrowed brow as well.
I'm not denying that. But you were serious as a heart attack. From the beginning, you wouldn't let anybody but me and Daddy hold you, and you were serious as a heart attack. That is how I would describe you. Serious. You've always been serious and stern.
Stern, Noah.
When you need to get your point across.
Yeah.
You
It's
mean
serious.
it. Yes.
Yes.
You mean it. Nobody has to guess if you're like kidding around or do you mean it.
Yeah.
We know.
It's funny because it might take me a while to make up my mind. You know. But then I've deliberately made it up.
You've made it. And
Yes.
That's
and
what
I've
it is.
delivered the message.
You've delivered it clearly.
Yes, I would describe myself as choosy.
And I don't think that's a bad thing because it means you're thinking about the choices. You're thinking about what's best for you in that moment.
And it might take me a while to get there.
Yeah.
Like I said. That's why it was so cool finding Malcolm because like I did not like people. It's weird because I was in relationships, like I was a relationship person, but it was hard for me to find a person that I actually liked and could get along with.
Right. And I don't know how much of my people hating. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, no,
or like
people.
my friends too, because I had a lot of friends in high school who were like people haters.
You had a lot of friends, and I loved your friends in high school. I'd love for you guys to come to our house so that I could make snacks and put them on the table.
I remember this group that you're talking about. Yes, later in high school, and we had the group.
Yes, group. I thought they were fun. But you didn't seem to like to hang out at our house a lot. So when you did, I was like making a big deal. I'm like, whoa, I'll bake muffins.
Oh, it's because we had a friend who had a huge, like, plantation-style home.
Yes.
And so he hosted all the time. So we went over to his house.
But I was like, no, come over here. I'll bake cookies.
Yeah, you did. You brought the snacks.
Yes, I did.
She came with the snacks.
I was trying to bribe.
And that was nice.
The
but
group.
also, like, yeah, I just was, like, not trying to be at home. You know what I mean?
Well, I get that.
Yeah. And, like, I had siblings. Whereas this guy had a huge, awesome house, and he had all of his siblings were, like, older.
Yeah, he was the youngest, right?
Yes. And so no one was there. So we had this huge, like, mansion house
Privacy.
to ourselves.
I get that.
He had the whole basement to his. He had an in-ground pool with a slide. And they had a stereo system, like, built into the pool. It was like
I could not compete with that.
No!
All right. Well, I mean, I tried my best with the cookies. I was like, but I'll bake cookies.
Wow, I can't believe you remember that group of friends. That's so funny.
Yeah, I was excited that you had this group of friends.
Yeah.
You know, and that you guys were into stuff. They were like making movies. You had like a
We
production
did.
company.
We did.
It was very cool.
It was cool looking back. We were a little creative, nerdy bunch.
I loved it.
It was a good
I was
time.
for it.
Yeah, we did a lot of neat stuff.
Yeah.
And then we all kind of just, went our separate ways around college time. I'm just thankful I still talk to my best friend Amber, who was a large part of that group.
Look, okay, I'm just going to tell you a little Amber love right now. I think maybe the first time I ever saw Amber was in a play at school.
Oh, really?
And she was a parrot.
Yes.
And she was the best parrot I've ever seen. I was like, who is this amazing person doing this parrot right now? And it was Amber. And I fell in love with her as she portrayed this parrot. It was beautiful, and I loved her ever since.
She is hilarious.
So funny.
So creative. So smart. And it's funny because she is also on like a mental health journey around the same time I was on a mental health journey. And I think we both are still there together. So it's been nice, like, having that to even talk with about her now.
Yeah.
And even though our lives are totally different, we still have so much to talk about. It's kind of like, wow, like I'm still so compatible with you. You know,
Right.
like our friendship is still alive.
Yeah, the friendships that last a lifetime. No
Yes.
matter how different your life looks.
And it reminded me of you and Sandy because, like, Sandy would call and you guys wouldn't talk, like, often, but when she would call, you'd be on the phone for hours. It would be like, Don't talk to me, Sandy called.
Sandy called, everybody shut up and leave mommy alone.
Yeah. And it reminds me of that because, like, Amber and I don't talk, like, very often, but when we do, we talk for a very long time.
Right? It's like, everybody give me some me time. This is me time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good to have friends like that, though.
It is.
Because they know all the versions of you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because you're always becoming. I feel like we're always becoming. And so there's so many different versions of you. It's nice to have friendships through all of that.
Yeah, it is. Because even you talking about seeing her in a play, because we did a lot of plays together. We were heavily involved in theater, much so that we developed a production company with a group of friends and, like, produced short films and then put on a show where we invited our old teachers to come and all of our family members to come, which was really cool. Looking back, that was really cool. And that's, like, not a part of my life now. And that's not something Malcolm knew anything about.
Right.
You know, because since then...
such a big part. And it also gave a voice to you that I feel like you needed.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a creative outlet I did not have.
Yeah. And your seriousness came through there, too. Do you remember? Even she did, what's it called? Interpretive dance? Is that what it's called?
Modern dance.
Modern dance.
Modern dance.
She did a... What's the end of the year thing called? Where you do...
Like a recital?
Recital.
Performance
recital. And she did... It was solo. Everybody was doing solos, I think. Maybe a couple people teamed up. But anyway, it was serious. It was serious music. It was a serious tone. And you did a serious, beautiful dance that still pops up on my Facebook memories from time to time.
What?
But
you posted this to Facebook?
Oh, girl, yes.
What?
So many years ago. But the sound quality is so bad because it was on our old VHS recorder that Dad was trying to record. So it sounds, the music is absolutely horrible, but it was beautiful at the time. But it's totally distorted on the playback. But you're amazing. And I do believe I've shared it and tagged you in it in the past 10 years.
So you mean to tell me that you recorded me on a VHS, transferred that onto a computer, and then uploaded it to Facebook?
Yes, we did things old school. Yeah. It wasn't a VHS, I guess. It was a little tape. I don't know what those were called.
Right,
the
yes.
little tape.
Right, okay. Wow, okay, I need to look at that. I need to revisit that.
I still watch it when it pops up because it was so moving. And I was like, wow. Like, I had never really watched interpretive dance except, you know, maybe some tribal stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Never anything like this. And I just remember being so blown away. And I remember feeling like you had such big feelings when I watched that dance. And I was like, wow. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I'm feeling the feels. We need to stop this. How can I distract myself? But I remember crying, you know, at that performance. I was wow.
Yes, I remember that being a big deal. It was a Pan's Labyrinth song from that movie.
Okay.
And I was really into that soundtrack at the time.
It was moving.
Yeah, and I got to choreograph it. I think that's what I liked the most, was choreographing my own stuff. I really wasn't a fan of dancing other people's choreography.
Yeah.
It's not as
Right.
expressive.
It was cool. And then you started making serious short films with your little production company. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
I know, and then I went to college for film.
Yeah.
I was like, we're going to make films. This is what we're
Right?
going to do. I don't know what happened in between.
I mean, life.
Yeah, you know what? Because everybody, when you are in college, everyone around you is like, you're going to change the world. Like, to every student there. You know? Like,
I
the
feel like
world's
that's a
just
good
waiting
message.
for you, and you're going to do it, and, you know, don't take no for an answer, and don't sell out, you know? Like, have integrity. And then they kick you out, right? Or they tell you that you're done. Then they tell you you owe them $20,000. Then
Right.
the world around you says,
I don't
we're
think
going to
so.
pay you minimum wage to sell your soul to work 40 hours a week. And everybody else who's working that job hates it.
Yeah. It's such a rude awakening.
It
isn't
was like a
after
slap in the
college?
face. I
Oh,
was
babe.
like, look at these people. They want to be mediocre. I was sitting here, I was so like motivated, I think, to prove myself in college. I was like, it was my first time leaving the house.
Yeah.
It was my first time all on my own, and I felt seen in a way I hadn't been seen. And I had a mentor who was like really awesome to me, and it was because of her that I did all of those cool things. And I was a TA, and I was an RA, and I took a graduate level
Yes.
class during my bachelor's because she encouraged me to do that. And then I left and like didn't have that. And it was like a big fall. It felt like a fall.
Oh, babe.
And then they're like, you can't live here anymore.
Right? They're like, yep.
You have to find somewhere to live. And then I was like, what the heck? So then I had to move into your basement, and then you guys were going to sell your house that had no room for me. But thank God, because then Malcolm and I moved in together.
Yes.
Into the condo
Yay.
in Atlanta, in a
Yes.
dangerous part of town.
Well, yeah. I was like, I don't want to go there by myself.
Yeah, I mean,
I would
Yeah.
only go in the daytime. I wasn't going to be.
luckily it was gated, but the gate sometimes didn't work. And
Right.
one of the condos at the front had been abandoned, and so like a homeless person had moved in there,
That's a whole thing.
which I didn't realize until I started running at night. Who runs it? Who
What?
runs at
These are
night
things Mama
in a
didn't know.
bad part of town? Anyway, but yeah, when I saw that, I stopped running. At night.
Okay, good. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
okay. There's some things I don't want to know.
Yeah, you've said that to me before.
Well, it's true.
Yeah,
All right.
I've told you a lot of stuff you didn't want to know.
I'm like, what? What? Did you need to? Well, like, did you have some kind of need that you needed to tell me? Because
Yes.
if you don't, then
Yes.
don't. If you need to, then I will just process it and do my best with what you give me. But if it's not necessary, I'm
A
good.
lot of situations like that,
I'm good.
especially like at that age, you know, where you're
I
like
know,
moving out of the house, but you're not like a full-fledged adult yet. You're kind of like in college, and then you're a little bit out of college. You're like, I feel like I need to tell my mom this crazy thing that happened to me.
Or there'll be, okay, because it
Or
was
if
in
I like
Atlanta
felt
College.
unsafe.
And there's a shooting,
Yeah.
as there was, because that's where we lived. And I'm like, there's a shooting at the college. Samantha has not called me. Excuse me. What is happening in the world right now? Where is this child? And a day passes. Then you call me the next day. And I'm like, you didn't call me yesterday when there was a shooting at your school? You didn't think you needed to call
Did
me?
we just talk about this? Why wouldn't you call me? Why wouldn't you call me?
There was some reason, because obviously I tried to call you. Was it not cell phone? What was the deal? I
We
don't
have
know.
cell phones? We had cell phones. I don't think we had smartphones back then. But I had a cell phone.
Oh, no, I tried. There's a shooting
Okay,
at
you
the
did
school. You better believe. You better. The only reason I didn't drive there is because I wasn't sure which room was yours.
Yeah, what's crazy is that happened multiple times.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I
There
feel
were
like
multiple
people in
shootings.
rural parts of the world don't
Oh,
understand
no.
gang activity and
No.
shootings,
Yeah.
you know? And you're like, this is where I live.
Oh, yeah. When we moved here, we bought a house sight unseen in Cave Junction. I had never been to Cave Junction. When we arrived here via road trip cross country, we stayed in Ashland, which is the uppity part of Southern Oregon, like where rich people go. And everyone there was like, where are you buying a house? They were like, no, don't buy a house there. Like, literally concerned for my life.
Wow.
They were like, that's a dangerous place. I know people who have died there. And I was shocked to the core. And I was like, well, I already committed. So, there's no going back.
Did you be like, I lived in the ghetto of Atlanta?
Yeah, people don't understand what that means.
They don't.
If they've never been to as large of a city of Atlanta, you can't conceptualize what that means.
True.
And, like, the size of Atlanta, which is a city in Georgia, is larger than the whole state of Oregon combined.
That's crazy.
Population-wise.
Wow.
So even if you go to Portland and you're like, oh, a big city. No. That's not, no.
Right.
And so people were just, people were so afraid of Cave Junction. And I was like, this is the safest place I think I've ever lived.
Right? Like, yes.
Yeah.
Legitimately. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. People are funny, man. They just like want to be afraid of, I think people are afraid of the poverty here because when I drove here, and I saw, and now they made a law against having like cars piled up on your lawn down here on your property. But when we lived here, people would have junkyards.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And then I remember, and I cried because I didn't know any better. But also, still. It was like a broken down bus on a thing. And I was like, wow, somebody just has like a broken down bus on their property. And then I saw 2 kids get out. And hop on the school bus to go to school. And I was like, oh, snap. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, I've never seen, because poverty in a city looks different.
That's true. That's
Yes.
true. And that's all you had known.
Yes. And so, like, it's not that I didn't come from a place with poverty. It's just that it was a different kind.
It's
and
definitely
that was,
a different.
yeah, part of the culture shock, too, not only from east to west, but from urban to rural.
Yes. I mean, because you didn't even have like I grew up in cities, right? Because Nana was a soldier, so I was always in a big city. But I had my Texas family who lived rural. So I had that framework that I could draw on.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't have even that because none. I mean, I didn't take you to Granny and Papa's. I didn't take you out to the country. Your Nana and Papa lived in the city. They were soldiers, you know. Your dad's parents lived in the city.
Yeah.
You never had any rural experience in your life until you moved here.
Yeah. Isn't that insane?
That is insane. It's
No
insane.
wonder I had such a hard, like, transition. And I remember, like, I was in the backyard. And it was before we had to transform the whole property. And I was, like, in the backyard. And I had to just stand there and cry. It's like I had to get away from Malcolm and my dad who had both moved in. And I was like, what did I do with my life? Like,
Yeah. Yes, because I always envisioned you as Sex in the City. Because this is the drive that she had. She'd wear what I used to affectionately call F me pumps.
Yes.
Remember? They would poke holes in the hardwood floor. And, you know, she was always dressed to the nines and she was a businesswoman and she was going to make it happen. So to me, she was always Sex in the City. So this was a whole, like a pivot.
you know what is so funny about our move here is that it was so business oriented in my mind. I was like, I'm going to create a successful business.
Yeah, I mean, you had a plan. Like you do.
Yes.
You plan the things. You mean it.
And then there are things you don't account for.
Well, because you don't know.
Because you don't know. Yes. And now Malcolm does business advising. My husband does business advising a little bit. And he'll be talking about these people who have these grand plans, you know? And he's like, they don't know. He was like, they're way too optimistic. And I was like, yeah, sounds like somebody...
Right, but you don't want to burst somebody's bubble, but you're like, wow, man, okay.
Yeah, I always envisioned myself in the city, too. Because the first chance I got, we moved to Atlanta in the condo.
Yeah.
And I looked for a job up there and everything. But funnily enough, I had to drive out of the city to work the job.
Yes.
And then drive back.
So it's crazy to look back at that version of you.
And see me now.
And see you now. But
yeah.
now you're more at ease with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that is amazing.
Way more. Yeah. Now, because for a long time, even moving here, I was like, we have to leave. It was always trying to get out of here. Always trying to find a reason to leave or an avenue of leaving. And then when I finally gave that up, I was able to find things about this place that I loved. And now I feel like nuzzled in. Now I'm like, why would I leave?
I mean, that's beautiful. Even though I want you to, of course, live in Maine.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for what you've built here.
Yes. Yeah.
And our building.
Yes. And the community I found. Community means something more when you live in a small town.
Oh, it does. Right? Because you get lost in the sea of people in a big city. It's really harder. I mean, we'd join churches, and that gave at least a little bit of a smaller community vibe.
Yeah.
You know? But it's not like when you live in a smaller populated area.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the amount of people in my high school graduation, there was no way I could know every single one of them.
800. There was over 800 students in your graduation class. Yeah. And the schools where I live don't even have 800 students total.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, there was over 800 people in Sam's graduating class. It was just the seniors. And they had all the grades. So imagine. You know, people don't get that.
No, it's hard to imagine if you've never
experienced insane. It's insane.
Yeah, it's comfortable. I feel comfortable in a small town now.
Well, it's nice when you find like-minded people.
Yeah.
And you all have the same goals. We want to live here and be a community and help each other and raise children.
Yeah.
It's, valued.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for joining me today.
It was fun. Thanks for having me.
You can catch Earth Soul Medicine live on Fridays at 3 p.m. on KXCJLP or streaming on kxcj.org. You can listen to Earth Soul Medicine podcast recordings on Spotify and Apple Music, or you can watch them on YouTube. Follow Earth Soul Medicine on Facebook and Instagram for updates and new releases. Thanks for sharing space with us today, and we'll see you next time. Earth Soul Medicine is brought to you by Veil Voyager, a mystical brand based in Southern Oregon, offering intuitively crafted plant essences, psychic mediumship readings, and all things spiritual self-care, including Portal Planner, a yearly guide for spiritual self-care covering topics such as crystal wisdom, plant spirit healing, and ancient rituals, all aligned with the cycles of the moon. Find out more at www.veilvoyager.com or on Facebook and Instagram at VeilVoyager. Veil Voyager. Seek and you shall find.